Right here is the race car 4GT Mark 5 right here. It's about to get unveiled in a couple minutes here, so we'll check out this beauty for the first time.
Why the 4GT Mark IV is so important. I think most of y'all know kind of the Ford versus Ferrari story. 1966, Ford went to Le Mans, they finished first, second, and third. That car was the Mark II Ford GT at the time. Shortly after they won first, second, and third, Ford started developing the next generation of the Ford GT, getting ready for the 1967 Le Mans race. That car was originally called the J car, but unfortunately that's also the car that Ken Miles lost his life in. That car ultimately became the Ford GT Mark IV that went on to win Le Mans in 1967, hence why they're building 67 cars to commemorate that. But importantly, in 1967, it was an American car, a Ford that won, but it was also driven by two American drivers, Dan Gurney and A.J. Foyt. And there's two very interesting stories about those two individuals when they won. First of all, Dan Gurney was a very tall guy for a racing driver. And there's an infamous story that he couldn't get in the car, and so they had to put a bubble in the roof for him. And it's henceforth always been called the Gurney bubble. For A.J. Foyt, he was so excited when they won in 1967, he grabbed a bottle of champagne, shook it up vigorously, and sprayed down it, and that started the same tradition now that you see in like all Formula One races today. So a lot of history around the Mark IV car. So let's fast forward now. Well, this is the street car. This car was built from after they won Le Mans in 2016. Ford came back 50 years later from 1966 and finished, unfortunately not first, second, and third. They finished first and third. They were split by Ferrari. But this car they built on the basis of the 2016 Le Mans car. And they built 1,350 of these cars. It took them 5 years to do it at Multimatic. But now as they started thinking about finishing the run of Ford GTs, at least this more modern run of Ford GTs, they decided, well, how do we finish up with a really special car? That's right, and that's what produced the Mark IV. So they're building 67 of these cars. They were allocated to a handful of really lucky owners, and I was blessed to get one. I just took delivery of this car at a track event at Circuit of the Americas, the Formula One track. And all I will tell you is, it is one phenomenal car on the track. This car has, well, first of all, the car is about 17 feet long because of all the aero on it. So splitters, diffusers, rear wing, you'll see it when we pull the covers off. But at 150 miles an hour, this car is generating about 2,400 pounds of downforce. So almost the weight of the car. Top end on the car is about 195 miles an hour. We saw about 180 miles an hour on the back straight at Coda, and we're pulling up the 3Gs in the corners and in the braking zones. So think of it as a Le Mans prototype car, but with no rules. The car has an active suspension system. Multimatic is like the preeminent provider of suspension for motorsports. It's something called adaptive spool valve system. It's an active system that continually adjusts while you're on the track. It has a modified 3.8 liter twin turbo V6. This street car has a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 making 660 horsepower. This car's motor has 3 power maps starting at 500 horsepower for short tracks, 700 for a little bit longer, and then maximum 800 plus horsepower at the highest power map. It has carbon brakes. It has a X-Track sequential manual gearbox with essentially an electronic clutch. But it is a absolutely phenomenal car. My car, my Mark IV, is actually painted in the same custom silver color as my street car. So they're not exactly twins, but they're at least siblings. And so anyway, with that, if we're ready, without further ado, we'll pull the wraps off. Woo!
We sit for hours and never got bored. You told me you love me. I'm drinking your coffee, and I could have sworn did want.
Closer look at this Ford GT right here, the race car. Check out that beautiful interior, or race interior. The doors kind of looks like a Valkyrie from the front end, as you can tell. You can see the wheels right there. Massive wing in the back, V8 as well. Top view of the Mark IV Ford GT right here. Very beautiful with that massive wing on the back. You can tell the difference between the street legal Ford GT